Good afternoon. Good afternoon, hello, and welcome to Crystal Bridges, to the Great Hall, the big room. I'd like to start off by acknowledging the lands that we're on. We respectively acknowledge that we are on the traditional ancestral lands of the Quapaw, Caddo, and Osage nations. The process of knowing and acknowledging the land that we stand on is a way of honoring and expressing gratitude for the ancestral people who came before us. And so as we gather, we begin. We begin by collectively acknowledging these ancestral lands. We at Mid-America Arts Alliance collectively acknowledge that our offices, as well as the six-state region that we serve, are located on the occupied ancestral lands of First American nations. We recognize the history of forced relocation by the United States government of many First American nations from their tribal homelands to our region in the late 18th century and throughout the 19th century. We acknowledge the legacy of slavery in our region and the enslaved African people whose labor was exploited for generations to help establish the economy of our region and of the United States. We acknowledge the harm that colonialism and white supremacy have brought to these lands, in particularly the erasure of both First American and African identities via racist laws and segregation. And by recognizing the land that was taken from First Americans and the forced labor that was provided by enslaved Africans and Black people, Mid-America Arts Alliance is acknowledging that we understand that the foundation of our country, the United States of America, and the roots that it created in order to grow and thrive are based in colonialism, racism, and indignity. It is only by this recognition and understanding these errors that were made during our nation's origins that we can hope to correct our path. On this land is this incredible space and home to the spectacular American art, history, culture in this collection that reflects that splendor and strife of humanity back to ourselves. The art, the crystals, these waters, the people. Welcome to Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, to the Great Hall. My name is David Wayne Reed, and I am so proud. Thank you. Thank you. I am so proud to work with my colleagues and work on behalf of artists in this region through my work in artist services at Mid-America Arts Alliance, and I am so honored and privileged to be your host today for this awesome event. So today we gather to highlight and celebrate the artist of the Artist 360 program. Artist 360 is a program of Mid-America Arts Alliance made possible through the philanthropic support of Stuart Walton and Tom Walton of the Walton Family Foundation, providing grant funding and professional development opportunities to individual artists of all disciplines in the Arkansas counties of Benton, Carroll, Crawford, Sebastian, and Washington. Since its inception in 2018, Artist 360 has provided grants totaling $770,000 to 112 individual artists living and working in Northwest Arkansas. And now, yeah, right? And now, in its sixth year, Artist 360 will be awarding an additional $214,000 to artists applying in 2023. That application opens on May 1st. That's almost $1 million, y'all. That's crazy. Yeah. Artist 360 is first and foremost about artists and community, and connecting this community of artists with artists across the region and beyond. We had a convening yesterday. This is not on my teleprompter, but it was so incredible, and the engagement, the connections, the collaborations that are fostered are apparent and palpable. It's incredible. These artists are so amazing. And so, before we begin the show, I'd like to acknowledge the artist and the Artist 360 Artist Fellows who are here today. All of you, stand and be applauded. Look at them! They're so beautiful! They're so cool! Yeah! There's so many! I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our speakers, my colleagues, our support from Mid-America Arts Alliance and the Walton Family Foundation, without whom this would not be possible. So please join me in that acknowledgement and thanks. And so we're coming full circle. And isn't that what is made of a 360? For the second year in a row, we are here to celebrate the art and the artists of this dynamic community from our first 4 cohorts. This is part concert, this is part presentation, and we will hear from artists of the first few cohorts of the program, including performing artists, literary artists, and visual artists. So, enough of me talking. Without further ado, let's get this show started. Please welcome 2020 Artist 360 Fellow, the luminous Mega Rao. I'm going to read this. The soul is said to be neither male nor female, or both male and female. Devi elaborates on the female aspect of the soul and how it is expressed in this particular piece. She is beautiful, successful, invincible, independent, fierce, multi-talented, tolerant, yet very devoted, humble, and compassionate. She is everything you desire and everything you dread. Everything you want and everything you need. She destroys the inner and outer demon. Presenting to you Devi, the epitome of womanhood, with music credits, Kalakraya series, dance choreography by Vidushi Mega Rao. Please welcome.
जयं देहि यशो देहि द्विषो जहि
रूपं देहि जयं देहि यशो देहि द्विषो जहि रूपं देहि जयं देहि यशो देहि द्विषो जहि रूपं देहि जयं देहि यशो देहि द्विषो जहि
and intense and captivating. What a great way to start the showcase. The impact of the arts is great, and here it is palpable. And that impact is made by the artist in and of a place, the artists who activate and sustain a community. Art is not a product, it is an ecosystem. Remember that. So this is about impact and about creative impact. Our inaugural winner of the Creative Impact Award is Sharon Killian. But last year, due to a scheduling conflict, Sharon was not able to join us at that event. So we are taking a moment to honor both the award recipients today, Sharon Killian and Khalud Sawaf. Let me start with Sharon. Sharon Killian is an artist, advocate, educator, and arts leader, and the 2021 recipient of the Creative Impact Award from Artist 360. Killian has been actively engaged in the Northwest Arkansas community since moving to the region in 2005. Next slide. She is the president of the Board of Art Adventures and president of the board of the Northwest Arkansas African American Heritage Association. Killian says that diversity, community, and education are foundational to her work as an artist and cultural leader. Killian's artwork has been shown locally and nationally and is included in multiple collections. She helped guide the former Fayetteville Underground to become Art Ventures, a nonprofit charitable organization which operates under the guiding principle of art for everyone, just like Mid-America Arts Alliance. The 2022 Creative Impact Award winner is Khalud Sawaf. Khalud Sawaf was born and raised in Damascus, Syria, and has worked and trained in theater and television in Syria, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and the United States. In theater, she worked with the Manhattan Theater Club, Oregon Shakespeare Festival, Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival, Shakespeare and Company, and Olney Theater Center. She recently conceived, wrote, and directed 10,000 Balconies after the project received a $250,000 grant from the Doris Duke Foundation for Islamic Art. Yeah, right? In response to COVID-19, Khalud co-created, co-directed, and co-produced her Curbside Theater project with Arkansas Staged. Today, we are so honored to have Denise Garner, Arkansas State Representative, board member for Mid-America Arts Alliance, and arts advocate here today to present the Artist 360 Creative Impact Awards to Sharon Killian and Khalud Sawaf.
Thank you guys so much, and welcome to Northwest Arkansas on this beautiful day. I am thrilled to be here to represent Mid-America Arts Alliance and honoring each of you with these awards, recognizing the contributions that your work has contributed to the growth and vitality of our community as an art system. We are now an arts hub and a cultural destination because of you. As state representative, I work on the committee to steward the arts in the state of Arkansas. It's a privilege to work on behalf of the arts and our cultures, and most importantly, for the artists who create and preserve them. Again, I want to thank you for your immense contributions in support of the arts and artists in our community and beyond. We are so excited to present you, Sharon Killian, with the 2021 Artist 360 Creative Impact Award, and delighted to present you, Khalud Sawaf, with the 2022 Artist 360 Creative Impact Award. You are both remarkable artists and community leaders, and your impact is seen and felt and appreciated. I'm honored to call you friends. Thank you again so much, and congratulations on your awards.
selfie right at this moment. Stand, Smile, Vogue. Category is Creative Impact Award winner. Congratulations to Sharon Killian and Khulud Sawath. Now, to hear a few words from our 2021 Creative Impact Award winner, Sharon Killian. We'll hear from Khulud later. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you so much. It's fabulous to see everyone here. It's a privilege, actually, to be in the presence of artists who, by virtue of your being this cohort, will advance the arts in our region. Congratulations to you all for stepping into the bright light. Thank you for giving the region a chance to see why change is appearing here, to see how artists work individually and collectively, to move pieces of the puzzle into place, to revisit and to build a thriving creative community. I want to thank Alice Walton for being an example for the younger generation of her family to value art as a catalyst to change the world. It is important to put a line item in the budget to recognize the work artists do. Getting paid for artistic work is fair, and it eases the weight of the artist's grind. I am honored to have been the 2021 recipient of the Creative Impact Award, and I am proud that Khulud Sawath carries the torch. Creativity equals change. To have a creative impact, one must consider change. Creative impact usually comes from the periphery. It's a cauldron of people trying against the odds to find ways of doing what they are passionate about, what they think is important. This is not a plea to keep people on the periphery, quite the contrary, right? It is about stirring the pot, shifting and making room for the flavors to build. After a couple of decades coming here to share time with family, I made the move 18 years ago. So 3 decades, more or less, of observing this place and seeing the changes that happened through the 90s and now more than 2 decades into this century, the more diverse population into this represented by micro-communities and cultures that have taken their rightful place must now work to keep it. All of us are integral to the Northwest Arkansas arts culture that we are growing. To make change, one must care. And to make community impact, one must care about community. And so, even as an independent practicing artist, I ask you to think about your community. Think about your personal community and how every large change begins with one person engaging with another. As a minoritized person in this region, in this country, I think about center and periphery in my community as part of my daily routine. If we want change, if we want to have an impact, we need to bring to the center folks that are on the periphery. This will bring new perspectives, new ways of thinking, and new ideas for how to improve our shared communities. In filling boards and staff positions, I work to fill leadership, supportive and connective tissues, and the interstitial spaces with people from diverse backgrounds. When I say diverse backgrounds, I do not exclude those that have inherited a place in the center. They are not excluded, but must have intentional practice away from the status quo in an authentic and verifiable way. By virtue of the fact that I am a Black woman, my work in the arts has been hyper multidimensional. The experiences of marginalization appear in every engagement that I make at every level of my effort. Add to this that my work is about inclusion and not exclusion in any respect. This amounts to an inordinate amount of giving on my part, but I realize that if I am to see this change occur, I must accept some responsibility to make it happen. The individual recognition for my role in change-making in Northwest Arkansas has been a positive, encouraging factor in my work. It stems the feeling of burnout whenever I'm faced with resistance to systems-level change. I continue to help develop arts infrastructure here in Northwest Arkansas, which includes putting more backbone into support of arts by the commercial sector. The individual recognition for my role in change-making in Northwest Arkansas has been a positive, encouraging factor in my work. It stems the feeling of burnout, as I said. I'm laying the groundwork for art ventures to advocate for the arts by encouraging commercial establishments to more meaningfully participate in the arts. We are reviving our effort for corporate sponsorship of programming and exhibitions, which includes paying a stipend to artists in participating in exhibitions and attended programming. We are focusing our mission to support artists by proposing art acquisition for commercial spaces, thereby remunerating artists for the beautification of their corporate locations. It is my strong belief that corporate institutions should not be taking advantage of artists by pretending they are doing us a favor when they put art up on the walls. These places benefit from it and explicitly say that they are supporting the arts. At the very least, these corporate spaces can create a line item in their budget that will pay for the rental of art for exhibition periods to give tangible return to the artists for the benefits their art brings. I know that this is difficult for some of us to hear because many of us have come to believe this arrangement has been to our benefit. This may sound harsh to some of you, but let me explain. Aren't all of us comfortable taking our business to places that support artists by displaying or performing art? Yes? Yes. Businesses benefit financially and aesthetically from the ambiance created by art, and it is only fair to pass along some of this benefit to the artists. Years ago, when I started thinking about this, I had to check myself. Musicians performing at exhibition openings deserve to get a check from the gallery because their art is valuable to the visual art-focused event. I really like the Artist 360 from its inception includes students too. The practice of writing and presenting the premise of your work and being funded for bringing your ideas to life can be uplifting in both the practical and theoretical sense. Consider this your invitation to the professional art scene. I am encouraged by all of you out here doing things for the arts in Northwest Arkansas, making it a better place for me to live, a better place for all of us to live and thrive. The regional growth in the arts was spurred by Alice Walton's insistence that we needed to have a museum in NWA. Whether we are all able to take advantage of it, it makes a huge improvement in the quality of life in our region. I really love to engage with artists who, as message bearers for our epoch, have integrity. We should be our authentic selves, so that we can learn about and from each other and make changes that benefit good. Thank you.
First ovation of the day, come on now, amazing. Changes that benefit good. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being such a change maker and for the impact that you've brought to this region. It's all good. And now we delve into some of the work of our featured 360 artists. These will be in 5-minute presentation, these artists in their own words. To begin, let us please welcome the exquisite poetry and imagery of 2018 fellow Carolyn Guenzio. Welcome, Carolyn.
Can you hear me? Good. I'm Carolyn Guenzio, and I'm a poet who has come in recent years to work with visual poetry and film. For background, when I was working on my third book, it revolved around the ampersand, and as if that symbol was a route, it led to a shift in my thinking, and I embarked on a series of experiments that pushed the boundaries of my work beyond text. The first thing I tried was altering online street views, mainly in my hometown, Chicago, for a sequence about the strange sensation of virtually revisiting the past. The next project involved writing micropoems and layering my own photographs taken here in Arkansas over stills from a damaged film reel I found that coincidentally was shot in the Kentucky town where my son was born. I started with things that were of personal significance, but soon enough I saw everything as an opportunity to get at ideas I couldn't reach with text alone. I started making poetry films using whatever I could find. I embellished drone footage taken by my son. I excised fragments of old family movies. We set up a trail camera and sometimes got lucky with what it picked up. And I made a book predicated on the idea that crows are transmitting information by carrying words in their beaks. Interspersed with these projects were text-based books, but there's little or no written text in this work, and when I do use it, I tend to want it to have a sense of heat or animation, and I think I was looking for a balance between the handmade and reliance on technology, which led me to my most recent visual poem project called Leaf. When I was first finding my way into Leaf, I envisioned text read on or through leaves, like this floating lotus leaf, and the text was typewritten. So they were legible, but legibility was less of an issue to me than the feeling I was hoping to evoke. And I felt some unnameable lack in those early pieces. Then I was working on one called Something with Love in the title. And it was a turning point because the first draft had typewritten text layered over the leaf, but the last had handwritten text in the gaps. And that's what the series became. I felt that the presence of the human hand brought a warmth that in my own digitally created work was sometimes missing. I became obsessed with detail. I wanted there to be something written in even the tiniest hole made by the tiniest worm. I was going for a soft, tactile quality in which messages were reaching out from the disintegrating leaves as they sank into the earth. The writer or the speaker is gone, but traces of what they were trying to say remain. The smallness of the text I hoped would create an intimacy between the viewer and the page, a need to look very, very closely, almost like leaning your ear to hear a whisper. These pieces presently reside layered in between the text poems of a new manuscript, so if the fates allow, they may one day exist as physical pages in a book. Lastly, I wanted to show you something brand new, an imperfect snippet of a work in progress in which a poem flows through a stream. These are the repetitive final fragments of a larger work, again on impermanence and the gradual oblivion of the speaker. And they read, "A river lives on memory. Sound of water over stones, breathe in. Sound of water over stones, breathe out. Sound of water over stones. Sound of water. A river lives on memory." Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Carolyn Guinzio. Thinking of the water, we're sit on here in the water. I can feel it, that flow, that sustains us, that makes us buoyant. I feel it here. I also have magical feelings with this place of our next presenter. From the magic deep in the holler and the history of the historic and beautiful Eureka Springs, please welcome our next presenter, 2018 fellow, John Rankin.
Okay. Although, What Would John Do is a recent work, I'd like to take the time to show you what John has done. I originally hail from Toronto, Canada. I moved to Key West, Florida in the early 80s, where I opened my first gallery, Is It Art? Then made the move to Eureka Springs, which I've called home for the past 27 years. I'm a self-taught artist, and with that came a little bit of shame, but now looking back has become a little source of pride. As an elder gay man who survived the AIDS epidemic, I've been creating works for a very long time, working in multiple mediums, making my professional debut as Brad Majors in the Toronto production of Rocky Horror. Oh, to have those legs again. Working in fashion, hand-printed clothing, fine art photography, photojournalism, large-scale installations. My early fascination with Carl Jung shows up frequently in my use of symbols. My activist background is apparent in the political statements often seen in my work. My obsession with collecting items that speak to me is obvious in my assemblage pieces and photographs. My love of nature shows up frequently, and my focus on community shows up in several portrait series I've done, as well as during my time as a photojournalist at the local newspaper I co-founded. I realized the importance community plays in my life and my work during my time at the newspaper. During those 7 years, I wrote a regular column on the art scene and filled the color center spread with each week with paper especially seen around town. Those columns were the precursor for several photographic portrait series I did featuring Eureka Springs community members. It started with artists, capturing 72 artists in large color prints, mostly in their studios or work environments. 550 local residents were individually photographed in black and white while visualizing peace. A community at peace was presented as an installation with prints lining the walls, slideshows on multi-TV screens and computer monitors, and images projected onto the building's exterior. I was honored to be granted an Arkansas Arts Council individual fellowship for the series. Mugs was an interactive artist portrait series where the city's artists were photographed making funny faces, which ran with the tagline, "In Eureka Springs, we take art very, very seriously." The 88 large poster-sized prints were plastered onto several downtown buildings, and the community was invited to graffiti the posters with provided magic markers. Men with Earrings was a photographic series of community members who identify as male, all wearing vintage clip-on earrings, a statement on gender norms and expectations, and the project that garnered my Artist 360 grant. It's hard to explain working in found object assemblage. There's an unconscious magic that happens for me, scouring objects at yard sales and flea markets, waiting for that object to almost shout at you, "Pick me up!" Needless to say, I've been shouted to a lot, and have a studio filled with what most people would consider junk, including my loving but supporting husband. My assemblages have been mostly done in series, and there have been several starting with the chair series in the early 1990s. With my love of found object assemblage and my background and interest in photography, it felt like a natural progression to combine the two mediums, creating beneath the surface my attempt to breathe symbolic life into the inanimate. These photographs, combined with 10 found object sculptures, were taken across the border to the Bentonville Gallery in my native Toronto for a solo exhibition, with a Toronto art critic writing, "If Man Ray owned a junk store." What started as a daily iPhone photo posted to social media from my early morning walk with my dogs turned into a multi-venue exhibition, an outdoor installation in Basin Park, involving 250 tiny vintage viewfinders, giving the viewer a microscopic glimpse into the macrocosm we call the Ozarks. Seeing the writing on the wall, we made the decision to close the Eureka Springs Fine Art Gallery, an artist co-op I managed for 6 years due to COVID. I began focusing more on the rotating art exhibitions at Brews, a coffee, craft beer establishment I co-own with my husband, and for the past 8 years. It's a needed and appreciated venue for the plethora of local artists, both established and newbies, to display their work. It seems my whole life has been an assemblage of sorts, a Gemini crow attracted to every shiny thing that comes his way, and who seems to have found his niche in this tiny, vibrant community with a very big heart called Eureka Springs. Thank you very much.
John Rankin! Beautiful. Thank you, John. Thank you for your activism, your heart, and your activation within and of community. If you're in Eureka Springs, please visit Brews, get a coffee, get a drink. In 2021, we debuted a new grant, the Community Activator Grant. This grant supports artists who support other artists. And one of the initial 5 grantees is one who is actively engaging and impacting their community with his deep vision and outreach. Please welcome the incredible 2021 Community Activator recipient, Dr. Eric Hughes.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Hughes. It's an honor to be before you this afternoon. I am the CEO of Visionary Enterprises. I am an artist, a philanthropist, and a historian by trade. I teach history at the University of Arkansas, which is where my research first connected me to Oscar Micheaux. Oscar Micheaux was a pioneering African-American filmmaker in the early 20th century whose spirit and legacy inspire our work today. I was honored to receive the 2021 Community Activator Award from the Mid-America Arts Alliance for the Micheaux Award in Film Labs. And the Micheaux Award in Film Labs is an initiative established to support creators of color across the state of Arkansas through 3 strategic outlets. The Micheaux Awards, because creators need money, the Micheaux Film Labs, and the Michaud Networking Socials. The Michaud Awards started in 2020 as a partnership between the Visionary Foundation and the Fayetteville Film Fest. We've awarded $25,000 to creators of color around the state since its inception, and the Michaud Award serves the challenge that creators of color have of accessing funding. The Michaud Film Labs are designed to provide hands-on production training to creators of color from experts in the industry. We've partnered with numerous communities and agencies to deliver 5 film labs across the state. And the film labs help to serve the challenge of access to education and information. Michaud Networking Socials are curated spaces to strategically connect film and media communities to support creators of color. In these networking social events, we display the creativities made in the film labs and engage supporters to build organic opportunities. The Michaud Networking Socials serve the challenge that creators of color face of accessing networks for sustainable careers. For our 2023 calendar, the Michaud Award in Film Labs is honored to have 2 film labs planned, one in the summer in partnership with Fayetteville Public Television, one this fall as a recurring partnership with the Arkansas Cinema Society. And we are honored to announce that our Michaud Award will launch applications for the 2024 award cycle starting this November. To learn more about the Michaud Award in Film Labs initiative, you can find us online. You can follow us on social media at the Michaud Film Labs, or you can visit our website at www.michaudfilmlabs.org. I would be remiss if I did not take this time to extend an enormous debt of gratitude to the Mid-America Arts Alliance, as well as our Artist 360 community, for your support, as well as for your investment into making space for creators of color here in Arkansas. I'm honored for the work, the partnership that we have, as well as the opportunity to continue the work and to share with you all today. So thank you, and thank you again to the Mid-America Arts Alliance.
Incredible, incredible. Thank you, Doctor, for your excellence and your amplification. We're almost to the intermission, but first, there's more. I'm so pleased to welcome our next performing artist. She has received 2 grants to the Artist 360 Practicing Artist in 2019, as well as the Community Activator in 2021. Accompanied by Miroslava Panayotova, please welcome bassoonist Leah Uribe.
Good afternoon. Miroslava and I are very pleased to present to you a piece by Argentinian composer Noelia Escalzo called Regiones. I commissioned this piece last year, and we premiered this piece in Arizona in January. Imagine this is about one of the most important pieces of literary creation in the Spanish language, Don Quixote de la Mancha, and Noelia was inspired by his internal struggle between imagination and reality, and a world in which everything is possible. Oh, but the difference is that this happened in Argentina. So you're going to hear some of those rhythms fitting this internal traveling. I hope you enjoy.
I kind of closed my eyes during that and got a little tear behind my eye. I don't know if anybody else did, but I felt it. Thank you. Well, now we're going to take a brief intermission before we come back for the incredible second half you do not want to miss. So now's the time to stretch, grab a beverage, talk to an artist, buy the work of an artist, get a ticket to the Diego Rivera show, make new friends. See you back here in 15 minutes. All right, folks, 2 minutes. 2 minutes till we get started, just 2 minutes. The time has come. Let's gather again. Take your seats. I'm sorry that there wasn't any active conversation. You all seem very bored. So, sorry you have to come back. Welcome back, artists, art lovers, audience all. Thank you for your support of the showcase and of Artist 360. I have to say, I got a comment over intermission. One of our guests said, "Hope lives here." That's the experience that art gives to a community and to a place, and it's palpable, and it was reflected to me, so thank you for reflecting that. I'm glad to say that this event will be back next year, so save the date for April 21st, 2024, and we hope you'll make plans to come and see a whole new slew of artists and performers here in the Great Hall at Crystal Bridges. It's been so amazing to see and meet the artists that have been supported by this incredible program. I've made a lot of cool friends as a result of this. I want to say that making an investment in the arts makes an investment in the vitality and sustainability of a community, and the proof is in this program. The proof is in this museum. The proof is in these artists, and the proof is in this room. Also, please apply for this grant. You can learn more at artist360.art/apply. And in fact, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be delivering info sessions all around Northwest Arkansas geared to how you can specifically apply for this grant. You can spend an hour with me in Fort Smith and Fayetteville and Springdale. I'll be there, and virtually. Those applications open on May 1st. So don't dawdle, get your applications in. So now we start with another performer. When I first heard his voice, I melted, and I was such a super fan and so excited to have him come and join us. This artist, his music breaks my heart, and it also sets me free. Please welcome to the stage the multi-gifted singer and songmaker, Justin Peter Kinkle-Schuster.
Howdy. Grateful and glad to be here. Snow on the mountain is water in the valley. If you beat a mule, it may work hard a little while, but soon enough turn and bite your hand. Soon enough turn and bite your hand. Who made that line between living and dying? Heavy as a tree just felled. As you live and breathe, do you believe there are things no tongue can tell? There are things no tongue can tell. Where is the guide, love? Must be written on your hand. 'Cause you point and everybody understands. Honey, would you like to dance? Honey, would you like to dance? from the mountain is just wind blown through the valley. Where fire has gone, smoke stumbles on, struck, then spent as the match you would live to light your cigarette. And who made that line between living and dying? Heavy as a tree just felled. As you live and breathe, do you believe there are things no tongue can tell? Yes, there are things no tongue can tell. Thank you. Thank you. That's the title track off of the record that I made with the money that the Mid-America Arts Alliance gave me. So thank y'all so much. It's called No Tongue Can Tell. This is a new song that doesn't exist yet. Bus ride to the county jail is neither short nor long, just like the ride I took to school in Greenwood, Arkansas. I get on when the sun is not yet risen in the sky. By the time I get back home, I sorta wanna die. But there my dogs are waiting, they're ignorant of sin. All they want is love, and so I wanna live again. I take it as it comes, take it as I am, and I will never ask you for nothing I would not give you first, my friend. The driver is a decent guy, he takes me all the way. We talk about the weather and the bills we'll never pay. By the time he drops me off, there's nothing left to say. Suddenly we're strangers till he picks me up again. I stand in line beside the barbed wire and make my turn at the gate, wondering where's my pocket knife and how long till it rains. I take it as it comes, I take it as I am, and I will never ask you for nothing I would not give you first, my friend. The world outside is empty. All it wants to do is take. There will be no goodness just for goodness sake. And how would you know it anyway? When they bring my brother through the door, my stomach sinks. I wish I'd never come here. I wish I could still drink. Yet something is summoned. I remember why I came. I wouldn't call it courage, that's far too good a name. So I tell him stories about my dogs and about the kid, how she's getting taller and she really looks like him. When I catch the bus, I feel my soul lift like a weight, rising as I cast it and sinking in a lake. Grandpa would be proud of me. Makes me smile to think I sit down by a window in the back and watch the rain. And I take it as it comes, I take it as I am, and I will never ask you for nothing I would not give you first, my friend. Yeah, take it as it comes, take it as I am. I will never ask you for nothing I would not give you first, my friend. Thanks, y'all. Thank you. This last one is for David. Thank you, David. Thank you, Mid-America Arts Alliance. And thank you, Ruth and the gang on the sound. Y'all are doing great. Thank you. When I die, do not mention grace. Don't speak of a sweet by and by. We'll live alone in a quiet place. The dirt, the bells, and I. Every night I was with you, love was a diamond from the mine. And every hour that we spent became a light on the darkest night. There was a time I could call you friend. That time has gone by. I wonder now if you saw my face, would you even recognize me? So when I die, do not mention grace. Don't speak of a sweet by and by. We'll live alone in a quiet place. The dirt, the bells, and I. And if I ever spend a night as dark as the one passed by Christ in the garden at Gethsemane, would I let my Father crucify me, or would I want to live selfishly? When there's a change and it's coming soon, like water in into wine. Just as May gives way to June in that ancient gold design. So when I die, do not mention grace. Don't speak of a sweet by and by. We'll live alone in a quiet place. The dirt, the bells, and I. Leave us alone in our quiet place. The dirt, the bells, and I. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. I'm overcome. I'm crying. I have listened to that song at least 500 times on Spotify, which means that he has earned 37 cents from me listening to that song. Give it up for Justin Kiefer Nickelbooster. Buster Leighton Pinkelwooster. Thank you, Justin Peter Kinkelschuster. Everybody say it with me. Justin Peter Kinkelschuster. Thank you. All right. Did that land? I don't know. It's the jury's out. All right. Let's get back to hearing from our artists. Let's begin from our most peaceful place, welcoming the wisdom and the words of 2021 fellow and lovely human being among us. Please welcome Robin Bruce.
That's squeaky, huh? Hi, my name is Robin Bruce, and I am a multidisciplinary artist rooted in contemplative practice. So to begin, let's all take a deep breath together. 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out the mouth, in through the nose, out the mouth. One more. Isn't that nice? My artistic journey begins with yoga and meditation. In my early 20s, I practiced for 2 to 3 hours a day, chanting, singing, holding my arms above my head. And from that experience of personal practice came songs. I self-produced 2 records, Power and Peace and Blissful Sadhana, in 2011 and 2012. This was all under the name Dharampa, which means nurturer of harmony. I'm singing in Gurmukhi primarily, which is the liturgical language of the Sikh faith. Now, my 3rd record, I was able to include elements of my own history in with the tradition by including hip hop and R&B. So my 3rd record, The Essence, was produced by Anthony Molina in Kingston, New York at White Light Studios. When we approached the record, we really wanted to hit it with beats. Here's a little excerpt. You can turn it up. So that was fun. My next project is a book called 40 Meditations, Stories Inspired by Yoga and Practices for Transformation. It outlines my experiences as a yoga teacher, teacher trainer, and student with little themes and meditations to go with each lesson. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but this would be my swan song to being a full-time yoga teacher. Because while I am Dharampa, I am also very much Jamira Queen. So Jamiroquai is a Jamiroquai tribute band that I led for 6 years, from 2013 to 2019. That's 100 years in band years. We played Euphoria Fest in Austin, Texas in 2016 and 2017, as well as Bands on the Bricks in Boulder, Colorado. And here we are.
Little Edna took the solutions from these high times. She's been cleaning up since 14 on the main line. And a funky junkie of a boyfriend. He's got her on late nights with skirt tight. Oh, she's a wild thing. Oh, let it all swing. God bless our high times. Don't you know that last night?
Come through, jumpsuit. So, around the time I was in Jamiroquai, I was finishing up a master's degree in Buddhist studies at Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, and from that came the manuscript Dear Gordon. Dear Gordon tells my story and also the story of an escaped enslaved man, Gordon, through image, collage, and paintings, prose, poetry, fiction, and nonfiction. Now, I really wanted to take Gordon's story out into a larger art space, so I created an installation called Meditations on Joy. Meditations on Joy incorporates light, video, sounds, paint, to interrogate the precarity of joy, particularly of those coming from marginalized communities. And my current project is translation of a 6th century text. It's a Buddhist text that was originally written in Sanskrit into English using text, image, prose, and poetry. So here's a little bit of that. So, who knows what's next for me? I really don't know. But whatever it is, it will incorporate multiple modalities and be rooted in contemplative practice, which I still continue today. So, to close, let's all take a deep breath together. In through the nose and out the mouth. Thank you.
What a delight. Thank you so much, Robin. His work can be seen in collections across the country, in light and in contrast and in power. Please welcome 2021 fellow Aaron Turner.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. All right. I was born and raised in the Arkansas Delta. I use photography as a transformative process to understand place. Changes in understanding of self, revisions in belief systems, and changes in lifestyle. The set of images that you're looking at on the screen depicts my father and grandfather in the same frame, in 2 separate occurrences, one at a family gathering and the other at my father's funeral. They share the same frame, but in different instances. I could not have known this would occur, but this is the role that the camera plays in my life, a tool to understand changes in circumstances in my life and those around me. Extended family gathers at my great-uncle's funeral in Marion, Arkansas. My maternal grandfather's wife, Mary, and his first cousin, Mary, stand close in an embrace. In the next frame, my brother holds his son, my nephew, before the processional into that same grandfather's funeral. Family gathers at my maternal grandfather's burial, and my brother in the next frame reflects after the burial of our father. Though these elements of death can seem somber in nature, it is important to reflect on and document these moments in life. And that is the transformative process. And within that process, photography allows for opportunities of critical thinking, relating to others going through the same or similar transformative process, and the ability to act on new perspectives. Photography allows me to step back into time and reflect, and to preserve, to speculate, to contemplate. like these two photos of my grandfathers engaged in the same democratic process of cutting grass. One is a carpenter, one is a judge and a lawyer. These images were made days apart. Photography is the space in which we can question which we know we have long, complicated answers, into the space of its aesthetic meditation. Using photography to document my family as an empathetic method of communication with others, with the intention of new dialogue, looking at the past and present simultaneously to create new speculative spaces. The Delta is full of agriculture and complicated historical narratives. Why does this hospital sit empty in the town of West Memphis, Arkansas? I left the surrounding Delta regions of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee in 2012 and ended up in New Jersey at Rutgers University studying art. I often reflected on home, place, landscape, people, and relationships, and began using elements of reflection such as mirrors and weaving elements of repetition through abstraction. This body of work became known as Black Alchemy. Through my series, Black Alchemy, I respond to internal questions about identity, representation, ontology, discursive enterprise, and the artist's role in the studio space. Black Alchemy provides a lens through which we see the world and while simultaneously considering the past, present, and future. I use light in combination with influences of geometric abstract painting, like making sense of the admiration of both Alma Thomas and Saul LeWitt. In 1972, Thomas was the first Black woman to ever have a solo show at the Whitney. They only have one painting of hers in their collection. Thomas was in her 80s after pursuing a lifelong teaching career, yet the Whitney only has one work of hers compared to the 110 to Saul LeWitt. About 4 or 5 years ago, I learned about Frederick Douglass being the most photographed person of the 19th century. What propels an ex-slave and abolitionist to thrust himself forward using a fairly new technology of his time in this particular way? Why did I not learn about this in my first photography class? Everyone should know this, right? But again, that's what Black Alchemy does. It allows me to present the past in new perspectives and create opportunities for meditative spaces. Like asking myself, what would a daguerreotype look like or operate in the 21st century? How does Douglass's likeness or historical narrative operate today? What are the opportunities or complexities surrounding how dissemination works within photography contemporarily? The Smithsonian Magazine approached me about doing some illustrations regarding the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921. Dick Rowland, a Black elevator operator, was accused of touching a white woman in an elevator, and the events afterwards led to the destruction of Black Wall Street in Tulsa. And I've been thinking about this image I made for the cover, which depicts the likeness of Dick Rowland. So in the gesture of having this image reproduced as a daguerreotype, further re-emphasizes the exploration of reflection in my work. Back to the origin of Black Alchemy, due to the inherent nature of the mirror quality the daguerreotype produces when viewing it. In my work, there's a discussion about beauty and the realities of history and the heaviness and the seriousness of history. My name is Aaron Turner, and these are the things I think about in my practice. Thank you for listening.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Aaron Turner. We met her briefly before during a photo moment, but I'm so pleased to welcome the energy, wisdom, and searing intelligence our next speaker brings to each and every stage. Please welcome the 2022 Creative Impact winner, director, filmmaker, changemaker, Khaled Salwaf.
I'm going to start by setting the stage because I'm a director. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good afternoon. My name is Khaled Salwaf. I am originally from Damascus, Syria, which is also known as the oldest continuously city in the world. I remember my mom telling me this fact when I was a kid and we were in the streets in Damascus. And she told me, Damascus is so old that you can smell time. Yeah. And about 10 years ago, I wanted to study directing in the United States, and I Googled MFA in directing in the United States, and I had bad internet, so the page didn't unload well, and I came to Arkansas because it starts with the A. True story. I'm a theater director, as David mentioned, and a filmmaker, and naturally a storyteller as part of that. I chose storytelling because when we tell stories, we have 2 points of views. We have like an issue on stage or on screen, and we have a yes and a no. Someone is saying yes and someone is saying no. If everyone is saying yes, then it's a lecture. If everyone is saying no, it's a protest. So storytelling is where conversation happens, with yes and a no. I also feel like anytime I tell stories or be exposed to stories, I have so many questions, and I reach out to the person next to me, and I want to talk about these questions, and I want to hear what questions on my mind and what questions on their mind, and run somewhere and write them on a wall and see years later if we have the same questions and if the same questions are still haunting us. It's really intimidating and humbling to be here in the presence of so many amazing artists. Congratulations to all of us. We are some of the most hated group of people by all systems. I specifically want to lift my fellow immigrant artists here because I know we especially can be some of the most intimidating artists. I think, when I think of the word immigrant artist, the idea of resources and scarcity and abundance come to my mind a lot. And I think very much of the element of like less for me, more for you, or vice versa. And the idea of that pie that we constantly share. And I wonder, what if it's not a pie? What if it's water with more streams coming to it? And more streams meaning more powerful and more current and more movement. The power of the stream is that it's always current and moving. And I think about that a lot, and I wonder, what would that mean if we change that thinking? But of course, we are naturally living in a capitalistic society where everything is a product or a consumer, and there is no third. And naturally, everything is a commodity. And that's why we think of that pie as opposed to the water that comes naturally with the abundance. And I think the element, as soon as we put a commodity on everything, then there is more structured way of creating and less free way of thinking, in my opinion, at least in my experience, because then health is a commodity, history is a commodity, culture is a commodity, education is a commodity. And I think with that conversation comes the danger of then, the default is trauma, and then we have to work to the joy. The default is injustice, and we have to work towards justice. The default is war, and we have to work towards peace. Tricky, and especially when it is, when we speak about justice and injustice, particularly when the same funder funds policy makers that create injustice, and then fund artists that create justice. So then I feel like my art is like a plastic fork against the Berlin Wall, Yeah. But you know what? I'll take the fork and I'll fight with it. And I'll see if I can scratch and leave a mark there, because I believe in that. It's an honor to be following Sharon in this award and to have that beautiful successor ahead and inspiring presence. Thank you, Sharon. And it's really wonderful to have opportunities of funding for artists that are taken out of context of that product-based work. It's funding practice. It's funding your time as opposed to funding your product or your identity specifically. because I think that allows me as an artist to have that space to exist in the world without having to think of everything around me in a product-oriented way. Look at the human eyes and see the human as opposed to see a dollar sign. That I want to make that human, those eyes into a story that will make something out of it. And I think it allows me to have that space to, in theater, I'm sure other theater artists here will know, we have something called the negative space. When I do this, there's like this space between my head and my arm, and that's negative space. And I think that negative space, I hate the word negative for it because it's so charged and so active. And I dream of a world where we can actually fund the negative time of artists, the time where we're not creating, but we're living, we're existing, we're recharging, we are observing, we're being existent in the world, we're being humans in the world. And I love the idea of opportunities like that, and opportunities of funding of artists like this. I want to thank the people who nominated me for this award. I often think of us as artists that we are navigating so many conversations, and sometimes we are knocking on some doors. Sometimes we're scratching some doors and knocking on some doors and pounding on others. And I know that the people who nominated me for this, Joanna Bell, on behalf of the City of Fayetteville Art and Culture, and Danielle Hatch on behalf of Crystal Bridges, they have both met me at a time when I'm pounding on doors, not knocking gently at all. And I'm thankful that they've recognized that as power as opposed to intimidation and nominated me for this. I want to thank again the artists that are here, and I want to say that may we all live in a time and opportunities where we can avoid being agents of any systems, and we can have the opportunity to be free and to be flexible and to have the freedom and the space and the resources to be the whole pokers of all systems in the whole world. I know there's a lot of challenges around us, but I know that change is coming, and I can smell a new time. Thank you.
Thank you, Khulud. You are a lighthouse. You are a powerhouse. And we've nearly come full circle. Let us keep this inspiration and momentum flowing on a high by welcoming our final act of this showcase. Accompanied by Artist 360 Fellow, the Emmy-nominated composer Amos Cochran, with backup talents from the talented Crystal Stellivan. Please give it up for the megawatt star power of Jasper Logan.
You ready? Okay, cool.
Say you my angel, don't get entangled. I seen the strongest of wills fall. Humanity feel like it's hanging by threads, and I'm still out picking up will call. And the flyest of fits, cause looking this good was the only way I wouldn't feel lost. Told God I would go back to church, but man, if I make a $1 million, the deal's off. Get Ferrari, then pull up and peel off. I got problems, I hope I can seal off. I got exes I hate when they pop up. I got memories, hope I can heal off. People don't know how we grow up. That don't just lead you to life and good health. I feel like Thanos my homie, no Thanos my homie, like man, I'll do it myself. I got infinity all on my palm. I got an accuracy all on my arm. My young homie ask me, how did you do it? I tell him I do. It's all in the charm. Beware your friends. They can bring harm. Beware this. It don't even last. The greatest of moments I hear in the present get tricked into living your life in the past. I say accept where you are and just laugh. I'm on my way and I hope we don't crash. The road to success is paid with the best. And somehow I ain't make it. I hope I ain't that. Go take a break, but I'm running it back. I'm at the top and that's just where we at. Hoping somehow I can balance the scales. I know my angels, they watching me well. They watching me. Well, 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 well. I know my angels, they watching me. Well, 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 well. I know my angels are watching me. Well, 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 well. I know my angels, they watching me.
watching me. Summertime trying to slip away. Sun started setting, but it's barely even 7. Street lights smiling on my face, trying to tell me that it's over. Need to see you coming over, feeling so low. Can't let this go, no. We're getting so old. I need that feel.
In the summer, in the times, in the summer, or the times, in the summer, in the times, in the summer, time. Can I tell you about the summer and my times? In the summer and my times. In the summer, in the times, in the summer, in the times. Man, I don't want this to end. Man, school starting again. Chris moving to the low end. Man, I'm losing all of my friends. Maybe I could just pretend and watch your hair flow in the wind. I tell you how much I love your dark skin, skin, skin. Passage to the private school again. Had to go back with the hooligans. You would come home in a uniform. We play all day till a bond was formed. Then you had to move and my heart was torn. I never get to play with my friend no more in the summer. In the times, in the summer, in the time, in the summer, in the time, in the summer, in the time. Can y'all help me out? Look, say summer, say time,
Time.
say summer,
Summer.
say time,
Time.
say summer,
Summer.
say time,
Time.
say summer,
Summer.
say time.
Time.
And I wanna fly for you. Baby, don't you wanna come right? Baby, I can take you up so high. And I wanna fly for you. Baby, don't you wanna come right? Baby, I can take you up so high. And I wanna fly for you. Baby, don't you wanna come right? Baby, I can take you up so
Is you scared to lose wealth? I seen what money do to people. Could watch the credit scroll and you still become the sequel. Lethal the root of evil. You tryna be Don like Cheeto. You know that haystack in the needle. I too can never see you. No, I can never leave you. The truth, I'll never be you. As much as I know you fed me, it's time I become the seafood. In the sea of doubt, all I see is their hands wave. They seem to love it more than I. Will I leave unscathed? Though I came to get paid, these dudes got paid. Though my home is at home, they rather it be a stage. Tell me, when did my escape turn out to become a cage? All I do is look for truth and hope that I never say like, what's your first love? What's your first love? What's your first love? Did you lose it, lose it, lose it, lose it? Did you lose it, lose it, lose it, lose it? And what's your first love? What's your first love? What's your first love? What's your first love? Did you lose it, lose it, lose it, lose it? Did you lose it, lose it, lose it, lose it? What's your first love? 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 Did you lose it, lose it, lose it, lose it? Did you lose it, lose it, lose it, lose it? As soon as you make it, it's when they say you finally start to lose your way. As soon as you make it, as soon as you make it. Thank you guys. Hey, yo, make some noise for Amos and Crystal. Beautiful. That's it. Thank y'all.
Jasper Logan, Amos Cochran, Crystal Sullivan. Fantastic, right? This is this year's showcase. Thank you so much for joining us. Please continue to dream, to envision, to create, to support, and to hope. Support the arts, support artists, and circle back and see us again next year. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Thank you. Artist 360 artists, please join me on the stage for a photo. If I can get every Artist 360 artist on the stage for a photo, please. Come on up. We want both.